This is Jeff Laleman. He is a Minneapolis Moline collector, and in 1989 he discovered that Minneapolis Moline experimental tractors were used on farms operated by his family members. Jeff first discovered the IT tractor in photos given by his aunt, Ann Laleman Johnson. Ann is seen here demonstrating the IT tractor in 1943. The demonstration was held at a Minneapolis Moline War Conference held at the Seaholm Farm outside of Erie, Illinois. Jeff found another photo from his cousin Sherry. Her father Frank had the IT, and he took this 1960s photo of his neighbor with the IT dressed as a horse. Jeff's research alerted others of the existence of the IT. Dale Castile found the tractor and restored it. In this photo, Jeff's Aunt Ann is reunited with the IT. Jeff's mom Betty took this photo of another experimental tractor in use on a family farm, probably in the summer of 1947. His older brother Ron is seen in the foreground, and his father Fred is by the combine. This photo was discovered later by Lauren Book. We are guessing the tractor was dubbed the ET. Roy Lee Book found and restored the tractor. Roy Lee bought the tractor in pieces from Gail Toppert. Gail had purchased the tractor from Jeff's Uncle Chuck Doogie, and Gail said that the bill of sale from Uncle Chuck said miscellaneous parts. This set of 1943 photos provided by Aunt Ann also included those of a 1943 experimental harrow cart used to transport the flexible peg-tooth harrow, originally designed to be pulled by horses. A 2011 trip to the old Seaholm farm resulted in discovery of the harrow cart, which was never placed in production. Jeff's persistence finally resulted in his family owning an experimental piece of equipment. The 1943 photos show a different experimental, and this kept Jeff on the trail for yet another Minneapolis Moline experimental tractor. Because we did not know the name of the tractor, we decided to name it after its unusual hood, which had two sets of Model U type louvers. The 1943 photos were tantalizing proof of another Minneapolis Moline experimental tractor. The tractor had a steering wheel throttle control, which can be seen in the close-up. Castile's and Book's restorations revealed that the Minneapolis Moline engineers wanted experimental tractor parts specifically identified with EX numbers. Jeff's research took an upswing when Lauren Book discovered this January 1943 memo from Minneapolis Moline engineer William Swenson. Lauren also found more photos of the experimental, like the one seen in the 1943 photos from the Seaholm farm. The engineers had labeled this Minneapolis Moline experimental the NT. In the memo, Engineer Swenson details the innovations incorporated in the experimental NT tractor. The NT was planned as a replacement for the Model Z. This may be the same tractor seen in the September 1943 photos, although in those photos the tractor is missing its wheel guards. One of the innovations is a three-bearing crankshaft. The EX numbers may be seen imprinted on the crankshaft on the right side of this photo. EX numbers are also found on other portions of the tractor. The battery was on a sliding tray to permit accessibility. The NT was to use the OE engine then being used in the military. Innovative hydraulic valves were successfully used in the military NTX. The notation on the photo says that it would result in noiseless operation, increased valve life, increased speeds, and automatic take-up. Over 800 NTX vehicles were produced during World War II. This model was restored by Bill Ellis. Bill provided this photo of Minneapolis Moline NTX vehicles pulling B-17 bombers in Seattle in 1944. This model NT used the patented throttle clutch, clearly seen mounted below the steering wheel. Note the throttle clutch in these 1943 photos. Using information from the 43 memo that stated that the throttle clutch was patented, Jeff researched the U.S. Patent Office. These drawings were part of the 1939 patent application of William Svensson and Hans Andersen. The patent was issued December 31, 1940. The patented throttle clutch was installed on the 1943 model NT. With the control mounted below the steering wheel, the operator could engage both the throttle and the clutch with one lever. The NT had improved brakes, and they were completely enclosed. Attention to styling included new type wheel guards and a U-type grille. They intended the NT to closely resemble the new UT and include many interchangeable parts. Another set of photos, found by Lauren Book, show a different model of the NT, this one without the patented throttle clutch. This model lacked the wheel guards, but you can see the styling of the grille and louvers. This model had apparently just been in the field. This left side photo reveals the foot clutch. The more powerful NT never replaced the venerable Z, a model which would actually last in some form for 19 years. With the advice of Wilbert Kirshner, Lauren Book, John DeRue, Dave Carton, and Bill Ellis, Jeff decided to attempt to recreate the NT. This corresponder photo shows Jeff and John reviewing Lauren Book's discoveries. John DeRue and Jeff journeyed to Minnesota to find a tractor to modify. With parts support from Rob Oda, Jeff was able to locate needed components. Standard parts often needed modification to fit the original NT design. Jeff wanted to replace the ZB motor with an OE engine found in the NT. Jeff would retain the functioning foot clutch, but would add a replica of the patented throttle clutch. Jeff was told OE engines existed, but he had not found one. Bill Ellis called Jeff with good news that he had an OE engine available for him to use. OE engines were adapted to post-war use as stationary engines. Bill had this one and made Jeff a gift. Bill cautioned that the hydraulic valves were precisely manufactured and not interchangeable and must be remounted in their exact original positions. With one stuck piston, the cylinders needed work. The three-bearing crank was in good shape, but this was not an experimental. Jeff completed the engine overhaul and the mounting of the unique hydraulic valves. The engine is a 206 four-cylinder with a 3 5/8 by 5 standard bore. The only difference from a standard engine is its hydraulic valves. Jeff had some trouble getting the valve boxes in place with such a tight fit. With the help of Ron DePau, he prepared to mount the OE motor to the transmission. The hydraulic valves work as a master piston that follows the cam lobe, and it pumps oil through the passages in the boxes to a button piston that pushes on each valve stem to open the exhaust and intake valves on the engine. It's all done hydraulically, not mechanically. Each master and button valve are lapped in their own bore. There are no O-rings or packings. They are machined that precisely. We think they never put the NT into production because of the labor costs to produce the hydraulic valves. The NT never replaced the ZT, and it continued until 1948. However, later Z models had several characteristics developed for the NT. Are the NT experimental tractors still out there? Is the model with the patented throttle clutch sitting in the weeds along an old fence row? Perhaps the model with the foot clutch still exists. We don't know. The only photos we have are over 70 years of age. The NT has faded into history. But the NT clone will serve as a tribute to the innovation of engineers Swenson, Anderson, and the Minneapolis Moline experimental tractors.